psychology and science and cognitive science particularly, and then spirituality, particularly Buddhist philosophy, really support one another. The very profound teachings of the higher traditions like the Mahamudra and the Dzogchen teachings can be of immense benefit to people. So I think the subject of mind, consciousness, nature of mind should be made accessible so that this really allows people to be empowered, knowing that this is my mind. I think if we look at just within Buddhism, how the teachings have been taught over the centuries, I think we have to sort of trace our history backwards a little bit to see that hundreds of years ago, many of the institutions where Dharma was taught, whether we say Nalanda or any of such institutions, were also in place of other forms of education. So what I mean to say is, if you want to be educated, you had to go through these very complex, deep philosophical training and so forth. But over time, world has changed and the education system has changed. And very interestingly, I think science has really developed very profoundly. And in that, one of the most wonderful things is that we're beginning to see how psychology and science and cognitive science particularly, and then spirituality, particularly Buddhist philosophy, all sort of really support one another. They don't have to be exactly the same, and I don't think that is something that is quite where we are, but there are all these wonderful I think milestones, let's say, or steps where we can all benefit by understanding each other. So when the education system today provides people with cognitive science and education, I think what I'm beginning to see, or what many of us are beginning to see, is that the very profound Abhidhamma teachings, or the Madhyamika teachings, or the very profound teachings of the higher traditions like the Mahamudra and the Dzogchen teachings can be of immense benefit to people. Usually this was considered to be a very advanced teaching that was very restricted, but now what I mean to say is, because the education system has evolved, science has evolved, people's awareness about these very profound, very pithy understandings are there. So I think the subject of mind, consciousness, nature of mind, and then integrating that with contemplation and meditation would make wonderful. I think it should be made accessible so that this really allows people to be empowered, knowing that this is my mind, this is, what mind training is. Now, there are, of course, in Buddhist teachings, many other forms of teaching, whether it is Lojong teachings or training, through the four thoughts that transform the mind, or other sort of more progressive trainings that are there. These are all very wonderful. And I think if teachers and students both have the time to progressively work with these, that's the most, I think, wonderful thing that can happen, and very, very constructive and beneficial. But for those who don't have that capacity, don't have a teacher, or may not at this moment have an interest in fully engaging with the spiritual path, still I think the understanding of the concept of mind, nature of mind, and consciousness, and how it works, and how it is your mind, and how it can really be constructive for yourself instead of being destructive. How you can be able to be more aware of it, rather than mind and the emotional mind becoming so overpowering that you drown within its experience. I think these subjects I think can be very helpful, particularly in today's times where people feel the stress and the anxiety and the uncertainties, and time has become very, very difficult. So I think being able to understand and develop healthy mind is very important.